I'm going to cover a topic that is dear and near to the world. Hey friends, thanks for tuning in. You are watching Arena of Healing TV. My name is Oluwadamilola Matthew. In this place, you wake up smiling. You feel no harms, and your bondage will be removed. I posted a video at least once in a week to build your confidence for life and in ministry. Today, I'm going to cover a topic that is very near and dear to the world. I am going to talk about when not to submit to your husband. But before I proceed, I would like to ask you a question. That is it normal to question the audacities of our husband, even when we know that the decisions of our husband is wrong? If so, how does this fit to what Paul told us in the book of Ephesians chapter 5 verse 22, which says, wives should submit to their own husband? I can remember back in Africa, when a woman have no other alternative, whether the decisions of her husband is right or wrong, but to submit and surrender totally to that decision. I can remember also growing up with my parents. Even if my father is not on the dining, she will be on her knee, whether my father is there or not. Before place the food on the table, God has commanded us to surrender and to be submissive to our husband. And we can see a lot of example of women in the Bible that they totally surrender to their husband and they reap the fruits of their labor. An example of this, we can see our mother Sarah, likewise the woman of Proverbs 31. But had there be any biblical example of women who stood their stand? Let us go deeply into today's message. An example of this, the first person that come into my heart, this is the woman Abigail, who stood her stand, contradicts to the decision of her husband. Bible describes Abigail as a beautiful woman, a virtuous one, who is full with knowledge and understanding, but she is married to a foolish rich husband. Unfortunately to this woman, she did not marry to a man who shared from her wisdom. When King David was hiding from King Saul in the wilderness, David sent a messenger to Abigail's house so that they can reap back what they have sown, replying to them in a rude way, and he refused to entertain them. David was ready to respond back with violence, but Abigail saved the day. She took the matter into her own hand. She countermined her husband's decision by running after David and gave them sufficient food, water, even more than what they requested for. The most beautiful aspect of this story is that Abigail did all these things without following the decisions of her husband, and she saved her home from that predicament that will have destroyed our entire family. You can read it in the book of 1 Samuel chapter 25. What are the lessons that we need to learn from this story? Number one, it is not an easy time that brings out the best out of us. It is our hardest period. When you look at that story, the Bible did not record all the good things Abigail have did in the time past. But running after the David, not even care about her life, this is when the Bible recognized Abigail as the most virtuous woman, beautiful and full of wisdom. Number two, Don't let the fear hold you back. Move forward in life with wisdom and courage. Abigail moved forward towards the danger that is ahead of her. I move forward despite all the obstacle that is surrounding this program. God sent me this assignment. It may take time to explain it to my husband that it is not about me. It is about who God is sending me to. And it is about my Maker alone. Another lesson that we can learn from Abigail is to be humble. Seek peace around you. Abigail seek for peace. She ran after the David with humility and compassion throughout the earthly ministry of Jesus. He was being moved by compassion before miracle will happen. Another lesson is that Abigail, she looked beyond herself. She looked for the time to right the wrong. Number 4, she was fearless in faith and in grace. 2 Corinthians chapter 12 verse 9 says, "My grace is sufficient for you. My strength will make you perfect in your weaknesses. Most gladly, I will rather glorify in my infirmity, that the power of Christ may rest upon me." Most time in life, we are facing with a strong battle, struggle with unknown giants. But we should bear it in mind that when we rise in faith and believe that God is with us, at the end we will sing a song of victory. We should not allow fear to stalk us in our situation, thinking and roaming about of our situation, and think that things will suddenly change. Our story makes us to understand that we need to play our own parts. If Abigail sitting at home and thinking how to bring solution, this calamity may just come upon her suddenly. We should rise and in faith and in grace to run towards the giant that is in front of us, so that at the end, whether we lose or win, the beginning and the end of every journey is in the hand of God. When we are faithful to God's word, when we are living in an obedience to the commandment of God, what we think that in our own capacity we may not achieve, with God by our side, we can accomplish it, even just in a moment. Abigail's story makes us to understand, again, that God does not work just the way people are working. God sees our hearts. He knows the purpose and the mission behind everything that we are doing. And God is working powerfully on behalf of everyone that follow him. Another example of this story of women who stood their stand is the Queen Esther. King Ahasuerus was not a bad king, but he was being misled by a wicked nobleman called Haman. Haman persuaded the King Ahasuerus to give him a seal, a letter, to destroy all the Jews. If Esther, she did not risk her life by entering the presence of the king, even when it is not her time to see the king, the entire Jew will have been destroyed. In the time of King Esther, in King Esther's story, it proved to us that the devotion to God should be our number one priority. Queen Esther chose to fear God rather to fear man. Psalm 118 verse 8 says, "It is better to trust in the Lord than to put our confidence in the king." Another story of a woman in the Bible who failed to stood up for her marriage. She failed her generation. Is the wife of Achan. I don't know what others people may say or what you can be thinking. Achan's wife cannot tell the world and her generation that she does not know what her husband have taken and hiding it in their tents. Achan was part of the armies of Joshua. They are children of Israel. They go into the battle, and God gave them instruction to destroy everything. Not to take a pen to home. But Achan took some item. He took it and hid it if the Achan wife have stood up. But I believe she is playing the role of submissive at the end of her story. Achan family, relative, they were being stoned to death. If this woman have stood up for her family by opening up that what is causing trouble for the entire nation, it is hiding in their home. It will be another good story today. You can also read the story in the book of Joshua chapter 7. What can we learn from Achan family? Number one lesson that we need to learn, that your sin, it is not personal. For the single sin of Achan, 36 people died in just a day. Though people may not die because of your own personal sin, but they are going to be affected. Number two lesson that we need to know is that confession is necessary. The book of James chapter 5 verse 16 says, confess your sin to one another. Pray for one another that we may be healed. Another lesson is that we should believe fully in God. Achan has believed God for so many things when they are in wilderness. And God has provided for them. But he is not taking that grace. He take it for granted by working against the will of God. I love this Bible verse so much. Number 32 verse 23 says, be rest assured that your sin will find you out. In the New Testament likewise, we read the story of a couple. Ananias was part of the church, and he gave a promises of selling his property. He decided in the church that when I sell my property, I'm going to use it to donate it to church. What went wrong? Why this man sold the property, kept some of her money for himself? No one can tell. After selling the property, he went to the house of God, pretending to the elders. And what he brought to the church is the exactly amount of what he sold the land. His wife aware of this evil act. And likewise, she supports her husband. My question is that, even if Ananias' wife, she wants to play the role of submissive, she will have informed someone. She will have someone that she have confidence that the person will help her husband. Did she inform anyone? No. Did she confront her husband? The answer is no. Did she advise her husband not to follow this foolish plan? The answer also is no. Why does she decide to keep her mouth shut? Does she trying to play the role of a submissive Christian wife? The outcome is that both husband and wife, they receive immediately judgment right where they are standing, to be sincere to each other. Woman headers, our mother, majority, they have misled us on what is the true meaning of submission. I was discussing with one of my sisters one day, and she told me that she was working before even before her husband we got a job. And immediately her husband got a job, she need to drop her job to take care of her home. She give up her job, her career. To be submissive means to have something in your hands that you are giving up. Bring the phone in your hand. He give this thing to me because he have it in his hand. Give me the phone in your hand. Now I am telling him to give me the phone in his hand. He has nothing in his hand that he wanted to give to me. It means there is something in our life that God is calling our attention to give up just for us to meet the standard of God, to be obedient and to follow his commandments. There are many things in our life before that we are enjoying, and we see that it contradicts the will of God for our life. Continuously doing that, we become a child of disobedience to God. Likewise in the marriage. To be submissive means I have something in my hands. I am capable to enjoy my holiday in any country that I desire. But when my husband said no, I give up. I surrender to his will. It means I have money in my hands to ride any car that I want. But when my husband told me it is not yet time, I give up. I surrender to his will, not what people are thinking otherwise. We are submissive to God. It means we wanted to give up our ego. What is the lesson that we need to learn from all the stories of today? Number one is that a woman who cares about her husband, her home, her family, community, the church, and her work with God may not totally surrender to all the decisions of her husband. If you have not subscribed to my channel, please don't forget to subscribe. God bless you and have a wonderful day.